Long before the sound of engines, long before the glow of electric lights, the land that would one day be called America existed in deep and patient silence. The mornings arrived slowly, carried only by the soft movement of air across open fields and forests. The nights were long, quiet, and unbroken, filled with stars that seemed to rest peacefully above the earth. This land did not hurry. It did not announce itself. Vast forests stretched endlessly, their trees standing close together, breathing quietly with the rhythm of the seasons. The rivers flowed without urgency, winding their way through valleys and plains, never rushing, never stopping. The land moved at its own gentle pace, unconcerned with the passing of time. Before towns, before borders, before names written on maps, the land existed simply as land. The soil was rich and dark in some places, dry and pale in others. Tall grasses bent slowly in the wind, returning again and again to their upright position. The air carried the scent of earth, leaves, and distant water. Nothing demanded attention. Everything existed quietly. As time passed, people began to arrive, not at once, not loudly, but gradually. Their footsteps were soft against the ground. Early settlements did not rise suddenly. They appeared slowly, almost hesitantly, as if unsure whether they belonged. A small cabin near a river, a wooden structure resting at the edge of a forest, smoke rising gently from a single chimney, drifting upward and disappearing into the sky. Life moved carefully in these early days. Morning began with the slow appearance of sunlight through trees and across open land. People woke early, not because clocks told them to, but because daylight arrived naturally. The work of the day was simple and repetitive. Water was collected, fires were tended, food was prepared slowly, without rush. There was little noise, voices were soft, tools were used carefully and patiently. The sound of an axe striking wood echoed briefly and then faded back into silence. Footsteps along dirt paths left no lasting mark. Each task followed the last in a steady rhythm, one that rarely changed. Homes were modest and practical. Wooden walls offered shelter from the cold and shade from the heat. Inside, the air was calm. Furniture was simple, a table, a chair, perhaps a bed made of rough wood. Objects were few, and each had a clear purpose. Nothing was excess, nothing was rushed. The land around these early settlements remained vast and open. From the doorway of a small home, a person could look out and see nothing but trees, fields, and sky. No roads stretched endlessly forward. No distant cities glowed at night. Darkness came gently, settling over the land like a blanket. As evening approached, work slowed naturally. The sun lowered itself gradually, casting long shadows across the ground. Fires were lit again, not for comfort, but for warmth and light. The flame flickered quietly, illuminating faces and walls with a soft, steady glow. People gathered not to discuss grand ideas or future plans, but simply to rest. Stories were simple, words were few. Silence was welcomed rather than avoided. The land outside listened quietly, unchanged by human presence. Seasons passed slowly. Spring arrived without announcement, bringing softer air and subtle changes in color. Leaves appeared gently on branches. The ground softened. Summer followed warm and steady, stretching long into the evening. Autumn brought cooler air and falling leaves, drifting slowly to the ground. Winter came last, calm and still, covering everything in quiet rest. Time did not feel urgent. Days were not counted carefully. Life was measured by light and dark, by warmth and cold, by the steady repetition of familiar tasks. There was no need to hurry toward tomorrow, because tomorrow would look much like today. The early rhythm of this new land shaped the people who lived upon it. Their movements became slower, their words became fewer. Their lives followed the natural pace of the earth around them. There was comfort in repetition, peace in routine. Even as more people arrived, the land remained patient. Settlements grew slowly, never overwhelming the quiet that surrounded them. Paths became roads, but they were narrow and unpaved. Travel was measured in hours and days, not minutes. Distance was felt, not ignored. At night, the sky remained wide and clear. Stars appeared one by one, steady and unmoving. The moon rose slowly, casting pale light across fields and forests. The world rested beneath it, unchanged and untroubled. In these earliest days, America was not an idea or a destination. It was simply a place where life unfolded quietly, a place where the land led and people followed, a place where silence was common and welcomed. Nothing dramatic marked the passing of time, no loud beginnings, no sudden transformations, just the gentle continuation of days, one after another, each blending softly into the next. And as the land rested, so did the people. They slept deeply, surrounded by the steady presence of earth and sky. The quiet of the land became the quiet of the mind. This was the slow dawn of a new land, not a moment, but a long and peaceful beginning, a beginning meant to be felt slowly, like a breath, like rest, like sleep.
While history books often speak of great leaders and loud moments, most days in early America passed quietly, shaped not by famous names, but by ordinary people. These were farmers who rose with the sun, shopkeepers who opened wooden doors each morning, travelers who moved slowly along dirt roads, and families who lived their lives one calm day at a time. Their names were rarely written down, their actions were small and repeated, yet together their quiet routines formed the steady heartbeat of a growing nation. In the early mornings, farmers stepped outside into cool air, feeling the ground beneath their feet. They checked the sky, not for signs of history, but for signs of weather. Clouds moved slowly. The land responded gently. Fields were worked in silence, broken only by the sound of tools touching soil and the occasional call of birds overhead. Days followed familiar patterns. Seeds were planted, crops were tended, fences were repaired slowly, board by board. Nothing needed to be rushed, because rushing changed nothing. The land moved at its own pace, and people learned to follow it. Inside small homes, families began their days quietly. Simple meals were prepared without hurry. Children learned by watching, copying the same motions again and again. Water was carried, fires were fed carefully. Each task flowed naturally into the next, forming a rhythm that rarely changed. In small towns, shopkeepers unlocked doors as daylight spread across the streets. Shelves were arranged carefully. Goods were counted slowly. Customers arrived one by one, not in crowds. Conversations were brief and gentle, often about the weather or the passing of time. There was no urgency in these exchanges, only familiarity. Travelers moved through these towns quietly. Their journeys were long, measured in days rather than miles. Horses walked steadily, wagons creaked softly along uneven roads. Each stop was temporary, each night spent resting before moving on again. The road offered no surprises, only distance and time. Even during moments that history would later call important, life itself changed very little for most people. Wars, agreements, and decisions made far away arrived only as quiet rumors. A letter might be read slowly by candlelight. News traveled at the speed of footsteps and paper, not sound. For many families, these larger events felt distant and unclear. Daily responsibilities remained the same. Meals still needed to be prepared. Fields still needed care. Children still needed guidance. Life continued, not dramatically, but steadily. Evenings arrived gently. As the sun lowered itself behind trees and rooftops, people returned home from their work. The pace of the day slowed naturally. Fires were lit once more. The warm glow of candlelight filled simple rooms, softening shadows and quieting thoughts. Families sat together without expectation. Silence was common and comfortable. Some nights included a few quiet words, others included none at all. The day had been long, and rest came easily. In these moments, the world felt small and manageable. The future did not demand attention. The past did not insist on being remembered. There was only the present, calm, slow, and steady. Seasons passed without announcement. Summer days stretched gently into long evenings. Winter nights grew longer and quieter. Snow softened the world, slowing movement even further. In colder months, people stayed close to home, finding comfort in routine and repetition. Children grew slowly, learning the same skills their parents had learned. There was no rush to become anything new. Knowledge passed quietly from one generation to the next through example rather than instruction. Time moved forward without urgency. Years blended together, marked not by dates, but by harvests, weather, and familiar tasks. Change came slowly, almost unnoticed. As towns grew slightly larger, the pace remained calm. Streets filled with footsteps rather than noise. Buildings rose carefully, one at a time. Life expanded, but it did not speed up. Ordinary people continued to wake, work, rest, and sleep, day after day, year after year. Their lives were not exciting, and they were not meant to be. There was comfort in knowing what tomorrow would bring. Even in moments of uncertainty, routine offered stability. When the world felt unfamiliar, familiar tasks remained. Hands continued their work, feet followed the same paths, minds rested in repetition. These ordinary lives formed the foundation of the nation, not through bold action, but through quiet persistence. They did not seek recognition, they simply lived. At night, the land grew still once more. Lamps were dimmed. Fires faded into glowing embers. The sky stretched wide above rooftops and fields, unchanged and patient. Sleep came gently, as it always had. Minds relaxed, freed from the weight of expectation. Tomorrow would arrive in its own time, just as today had. And so, history moved forward, not in sudden leaps, but in soft steps taken by ordinary people living ordinary lives during extraordinary times. History shaped not by noise, but by quiet continuity. It was a life built on repetition, steadiness, and calm, a life that asked for nothing more than presence, patience, and rest.
Time did not announce itself as it moved forward. It passed quietly, like a shadow drifting across the land. Days followed nights, and nights followed days, without pause and without concern. The land remained steady as years slowly settled into one another. In the early years, change came softly. Seasons continued their familiar cycle. Spring returned with gentle warmth. Summer stretched long and unhurried. Autumn arrived with cooler air and falling leaves. Winter followed with quiet stillness. The same pattern repeated again and again without interruption. People noticed time not by numbers or dates, but by subtle signs. A tree grew slightly taller. A path became more worn. A child's voice grew calmer and deeper. These changes happened so slowly that they were often only noticed in hindsight. History moved forward in the background, distant and quiet. Occasional conflicts came and went, spoken of in hushed tones. Words like war and change drifted through conversations without urgency. For most people, these events felt far away, like echoes carried by the wind. Life continued much as it always had. Fields were planted and harvested. Homes were maintained carefully. The same roads were walked each day, their paths becoming smoother with time. Routine offered comfort, and repetition brought peace. Years passed gently, one blended into the next without sharp edges. Memories softened as they aged, losing detail but retaining feeling. The past did not demand attention, it simply rested quietly behind the present. As towns slowly expanded, the pace of life remained calm. Buildings were added one by one, streets became slightly busier but never loud. The land absorbed these changes patiently, unchanged in spirit. People aged quietly, hair turned lighter, movements slowed, faces carried lines that spoke not of hardship but of time passing steadily. Elders spoke less and listened more, content to sit and observe the world as it moved gently around them. Children grew, not in leaps, but in slow and steady steps. They learned by watching, repeating familiar actions until they became second nature. Their days were simple, filled with routine and rest. The passing of years softened everything. Even moments that once felt important became distant and quiet. Events lost their sharpness, settling into the background of memory. At times, letters arrived with news from far away. They were read slowly, often more than once. Afterward, life returned to its usual rhythm. The land did not change its pace. The days continued as they always had. Even when the nation itself grew and shifted, daily life remained largely unchanged. The idea of growth was quiet, almost invisible. People lived within their routines, aware of time but not burdened by it. Seasons continued to repeat themselves faithfully. The land offered familiar comfort in its predictability. Each return of spring felt both new and familiar. Each winter carried the same stillness as the one before. Memories faded gently, without resistance. Names became less clear, faces softened in recollection. What remained was not detail, but emotion, a feeling of calm, of continuity. As years turned into decades, the land bore witness without judgment. Fields remained fields, rivers flowed steadily, trees stood patient and unmoved. Nature did not hurry, and neither did time. Even moments of uncertainty passed quietly. Questions were asked softly, often left unanswered. Life did not demand clarity, it only asked to be lived. Evenings continued to arrive slowly. Shadows lengthened across the ground. Fires were lit as they always had been. The glow of light remained warm and familiar. Night followed, steady and gentle. The sky stretched wide and unchanged. Stars appeared in the same quiet pattern, offering comfort in their consistency. Sleep came easily to those who followed the rhythm of time. Minds rested, free from urgency. The future did not press forward, the past did not pull backward. Everything existed calmly in the present moment. As memories faded, what remained was a sense of peace, a quiet understanding that time moves gently, without demand or expectation. History, when viewed from a distance, became less about events and more about flow, a slow, continuous movement through years and seasons, a rhythm that did not need to be measured. The passing of years brought softness, not loss. Each fading moment made space for rest. Each quiet day added to a life lived without hurry. And so the nation moved forward, not with noise, but with patience, not with sudden change, but with gentle progression. Time continued, steady and kind. Days flowed into nights, years drifted into memory. The land remained calm. Everything slowed. Everything softened. Everything rested.
As time continued to move forward, it did so without urgency. The nation did not rush toward its future, nor did it cling tightly to its past. Instead, it flowed gently, like a river that knows its direction without needing to hurry. America, when viewed from a distance, became less a series of events and more a quiet rhythm. Days followed nights, seasons followed seasons, years unfolded slowly, each one resting comfortably beside the next. The land itself seemed to understand this pace. Fields stretched calmly beneath open skies, towns settled into their places without effort. Roads connected places gently, not forcing movement, but allowing it when needed. History did not feel loud here. It did not shout for attention. It did not demand to be remembered in sharp detail. It existed softly, like a distant hum, always present but never overwhelming. People continued their lives in familiar ways. They woke, they worked, they rested, and they slept. Their routines changed only slightly over time, and those changes arrived so slowly that they felt natural rather than disruptive. Moments that once seemed important gradually softened. Decisions faded into memory. Dates lost their meaning. What remained was a sense of continuity, a feeling that life simply continued, steady and calm. The nation grew, but it did so quietly. Growth was not sudden or dramatic, it was patient. Towns expanded slowly, homes were built one at a time, communities formed without ceremony. Even change itself became gentle. When something new appeared, it blended into what already existed. Nothing demanded attention, nothing insisted on being noticed. Time moved forward, but it did not press, it did not pull. It simply passed, carrying the nation with it, the way water carries leaves downstream, without effort, without resistance. As years continued to drift by, memories became softer. The sharp edges of the past smoothed away, stories shortened, details faded. What remained was feeling rather than fact. The land continued to offer its quiet comfort. Trees grew taller without announcing it. Rivers flowed without pause. The sky remained wide and steady above everything below. Even the idea of a nation began to feel less defined. It was no longer a collection of moments, but a shared stillness, a long breath taken over generations. People learned to trust this pace. They no longer measured time closely, they felt it instead. Morning light, evening shadows, the familiar calm of night returning again and again. At the end of each day, rest arrived naturally. Lamps dimmed, fires burned low, the world grew quiet without instruction. Night spread slowly across the land, settling gently over rooftops, fields, and forests. The sounds of the day faded one by one, leaving behind a deep and comforting silence. In this silence, the nation rested. It did not need to prove itself. It did not need to move faster. It simply existed, steady and calm, held in the flow of time. The past rested peacefully behind it. The future waited patiently ahead, and the present remained soft, welcoming, and still.
History here became something you could drift through without effort. There was no need to remember names, no need to recall dates, no need to follow events closely. The story continued whether anyone listened or not. This was a nation at rest, not paused, not finished, but comfortable in its movement, like a long, quiet evening that never rushes toward morning. Breath slowed, thoughts softened, the weight of time lifted gently from the mind. Nothing needed attention now, nothing needed explanation. The land remained calm, the people rested. Time continued its gentle flow, and slowly, naturally, the story faded, not to an ending, but to rest.